Don't forget to check out my Twitch channel. It is twitch.com/BigDGeekdom101 as we have a brand new project I'm going to be starting with all of you. We're going to watch every episode of Dragon Ball from the very beginning, from episode 1 of Dragon Ball all the way through to GT in 1080p upscaled remastered quality with the original broadcast audio, the absolute best possible way to watch the series, and I want to watch it with all of you. We're going to watch it on Twitch. We're going to discuss it. I'm going to give you show notes. It's a fun new idea that I want to do with you guys that I think will be a lot of fun. And I'm going to dedicate about once a week or once every 2 weeks to getting on there and watching different things and discussing it with you guys from beginning to end. This is called the Complete Dragon Ball Watch Through, and I want all of you to be there. Go to my Twitch right now, hit the follow button, twitch.tv/BigDGeekdom101, and don't forget to make sure you have notifications turned on for both Twitch and for the community tab, because I don't want you to miss a single stream. Come join me. Go give me a follow. Updates will be coming very soon. I have returned. After dealing with some BS copyright crap that all YouTubers deal with from time to time, to where I could not upload for a few weeks, I am now back, and it's time to talk about Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 89, continuing the story of the Dragon Ball Super superhero prequel events going into the story of the film. This continues off from the last chapter, where in the previous chapter we established that Trunks and Goten are now superheroes. Trunks still has a thing for Mai, and they found a disc in Dr. Hedo's laboratory that belonged to his grandfather. So where does the story go from here? Well, first of all, I want to give you kind of an overall perspective on this manga chapter. The manga chapter was kind of what I said it was going to be last month, in the sense of it feels like this arc, or at least this part of the arc, is very episodic in nature. It feels like each chapter is like its own individual self-contained story in a way. Obviously, they all link up with the adventures of Goten, Trunks, S. Saiyaman, X1 and X2, and Dr. Hedo, but it really felt different. It felt like an American comic. It felt like something that is more relatable to a Spider-Man comic than a Dragon Ball manga. Now, again, this is not a criticism necessarily, but I do feel like some hardcore manga readers may be turned off by this style of writing. I don't mind it. However, if I'm being honest with you, I do feel like if this goes on for too long, it's going to get long in the tooth. I did like some aspects of this manga chapter, but to be honest with you, my big takeaway is that there really wasn't much here that provided replay value. Like, I can read this manga and, be done with it. It's kind of like a one and done chapter. I read it and I have no desire to ever really go back and read it again. Now, to be honest with you, there's a lot of Dragon Ball Super manga chapters that I have the same feelings about. It's just, a lot of it is just not very good. Some of it is, some of it is not. This one was fine, but nothing truly extraordinary. The first topic I want to get into is the whole Trunks and Mai thing. Seeing Trunks and Mai in high school and interacting with the students and even having Trunks playing basketball, that's pretty cool stuff. Like, I like the sort of slower slice of life stuff. However, at the same time, the Trunks and Mai relationship, if you want to call it that, has been pretty damn controversial, and I did criticize it last month in my review. However, in this chapter, although it does appear like it's continuing, it's going in a bit of a different direction than I was expecting. First of all, Bulma knows that Mai is not really a teenager. She's aware of it, and that just makes me wonder what her part in the quote-unquote romance is going to be. On top of that, a lot of the chapter was Trunks kind of trying to show off for Mai. He's kind of simping on her a little bit. But then later in the chapter, we find out that Mai, going back to what happened in the Trunks arc, way back, in the Goku Black era, does still have memories of having a crush for the future Trunks, not this current Trunks. And it does kind of make you wonder, is it the fact that future Trunks is older that she finds him attractive, or is it because future Trunks has a different attitude? Kid Trunks, or present timeline Trunks, since he's a teenager now, he's more like a spoiled kind of brat. Future Trunks is this guy who is this lonely warrior in this post-apocalyptic world who has more of a heroicism to him. This Trunks just comes off like kind of a kid. And to be honest, some of the writing here I think maybe hurt Trunks' character. I don't think it took away from future potential with him, but the fact that, like, for example, his kid sister is better at technology than him, I don't like that. And I know some of you guys seem to be okay with this. Some of you guys, on one side, I've seen some comments about how some of y'all think that it's okay to have, the daughter be the smart one and the boy be more like Vegeta. And I get all that, but they're both children of Bulma and grandchildren of Dr. Brief. Very highly intelligent people. So for Trunks to have infected the computer with a computer virus, that's just weird to me. And then Bra fixes it. On the other side of the spectrum, some of you guys have discussed the fact that, and I've seen this in the comments, at least reading around the web, that people think that this is like a woke agenda and that they're making the Bra or Bulla or whatever you want to call her, they're making her, a Mary Sue. I think it's too soon to say that, but I do feel like they took away from Trunks, and that story idea of him not knowing computers doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I was not a fan of it. This manga chapter introduces a new android called Beta. Obviously, in the previous chapter, we saw the alpha models that Dr. Hedo created, and now we're down to the beta model. This particular android, however, is very different from Alpha. This android seems to be conceptually sort of like a Terminator. He's an infiltration unit, and his job, programmed by Dr. Hedo, is to get back that data disk that was taken from his laboratory. Now, of course, he's in a new laboratory. And so Beta is this new student at school, but his brain is connected, or his cybernetic chip, it's not really a brain, it's connected to Dr. Hedo's, computer, and so he's able to see everything. So he's trying to find that disc, and he knows, he doesn't know much, but he knows that the person who took the disc had blonde hair, which of course would be Trunks transformed. And that reminds me, something else I didn't like too is the fact that Trunks was unable to recognize that Beta was an android, but Mai was. I don't know, man. Is it just me? Or is Trunks being kind of portrayed to be a little bit dumb? Maybe he's going through puberty. We all made mistakes when we were teenagers. We all said dumb stuff back then, right? So let me know in the comments if you think that Trunks is being portrayed as kind of a dummy. Or if you think if you're fine with it. Ultimately, it's not like it's killing the chapter for me. Like, it's not like I'm going to sit here and be upset. It's just a little annoyance that I could have done without. But yes, Beta is an android. But what I thought was pretty cool is Beta is a very different type of android than the alpha models. Not just for the infiltration, but also the fact that he has a battle jacket called Beta 2. So it's different because it's not like Gamma 1 and 2, where they're just two like separate personalities. Beta 1 and Beta 2, it's kind of like an upgrade, like they work together and they function, and Beta still controls Beta 2. Beta 1 still controls Beta 2. So it's more like armor than its own individual sentient, being, or sentient machine, AI, whatever you want to call it. When it comes to Goten, he's kind of been, in a way, delegated to being Trunks' sidekick. There's no question that the focus of this part of the story is on Trunks. And I know a lot of Goten fans are out there like, how come he never gets anything? Like, and it's true, even in GT, like, Trunks went out on the adventure, on the grand tour, that is, with Goku and Pan, and Goten stayed on Earth. So they don't really get that much shine. It feels like this is kind of continuing that, but Goten, I think, did more in this chapter than he did in the previous one. He was actually involved in the battle. And I have to say that the one thing that I enjoyed the most about this manga chapter, besides Dr. Hedo's, just his character is really entertaining for me, is I enjoyed Beta. I like the idea of Beta. I was kind of hoping there would be more Beta models. Like, there's things about the character that I thought were, you know, not perfect, but the idea of him kind of showing up in school, and I would have preferred it if maybe he showed up at the high school and was there for a few more chapters, and then we didn't find out who he really was till later on. Like, I think that would be a better idea to kind of make us wonder, like, is he human? What is he? Even though we kind of know because his name is Beta. Or maybe give him like a fake name and then his real name is Beta. They could have executed that a lot more interesting, and instead it was just very predictable and just, you know, not really very creative, you know, ultimately. The big climax of the chapter was Trunks saving Mai, and that being kind of a big deal for his character. The fight with Beta, with Saiyaman X1 and X2, and the fact that Mai, like I mentioned earlier, had that vision of future Trunks. The kind of takeaway from that is that Dr. Hedo witnessed Saiyaman X1 and X2, and it's implied that the idea behind how he would make the Gamma models look was somewhat inspired by the costumes of Saiyaman X1 and X2, which, to be honest, I could kind of see that. I mean, you could tell the gray with the technological look and the capes, like it does look like Gamma 1 and 2, so there are similarities there. But if I remember, in the Dragon Ball Superhero movie, there's an actual hero, a superhero that exists, I guess, in fantasy, I don't know, in the Dragon Ball universe, who is what Gamma 1 looks like. So it's one of those things where Dr. Hedo was inspired by both the appearance of Saiyaman X1 and X2 and the actual real hero. Dr. Hedo's very entertaining, and I do like the idea of what's next, and I do like the fact that he's going to be making new androids. I'm guessing they'll be the Gamma models next, but part of me kind of hopes that they're going to do Sigma first or something similar before we get to Gamma, because I'm enjoying like the different android models, and you know, I'm enjoying kind of how that story's progressing little by little. To be honest with you, and I've told you guys this before, I feel like the Dr. Hedo stuff is the most interesting stuff about this arc right now. Trunks and Goten and Mai and all that, I'm not super into it. A lot of it's just another modern version of the Grey Sandman arc with some of the same jokes even being told. While I do appreciate it, and I do like that change of pace of them being in high school, like it does give us a fresh coat of paint, as they say, something different we haven't seen in the Dragon Ball Super manga in a very, very long time. I still feel like the most interesting stuff is the different androids that Dr. Hedo is going to make. That is what's making me look forward to the next chapter. I will be talking about this tomorrow here on the channel in a live stream tomorrow evening. I did do a live stream yesterday covering the copyright thing and talking to y'all about Dragon Ball, but tomorrow is the stream about this chapter, so be there right here on the Geekdom 101 channel. I want to thank you guys as always for your support and your patience. You have no idea how humbled I've been with all of the positive feedback I've gotten and all of the support. It means the world to me, and I know that I have a good community. Take care, y'all, and I'll see you tomorrow where we'll discuss more about this chapter.